Draymond Green is the most confusing player in the NBA. This season, the Warriors are off to a blazing start with an 8-2 record, and they're first in the Western Conference. So you think Draymond, with all his experience and impact, would have stats that jump out at you, right? Well, it's more complicated than that. He's averaging just 8.5 points per game, which doesn't exactly scream star player, but points don't tell the whole story for Draymond, and they probably never have. His impact goes way beyond just scoring. Draymond is averaging 5.1 rebounds and 5.1 assists per game, which isn't anywhere near the top of the league. But again, Draymond's game has always been about doing the little things that most players don't get recognized for. He's currently tied for 80th in rebounds, but he's still one of the league's most effective screeners and playmakers. His assist numbers place him 31st in the league, which may not sound impressive, but for a forward, that's big time. In fact, he ranks second out of all forwards in assists per 75 possessions, only trailing LeBron James. That's right, only LeBron is better at facilitating among forwards. And when you consider LeBron's offensive dominance, that's no small feat. If you dive deeper into advanced stats, it becomes even more interesting. Draymond ranks 38th in the NBA in offensive rating. Now, some fans might look at that and wonder why he's not higher, especially on a team like Golden State that has one of the most efficient offenses in the league. But remember, Draymond's contributions are sometimes more about setting the tone, organizing the team, and getting others open than scoring himself. In fact, Draymond's impact on screens alone is elite. According to Basketball Index, he ranks 3rd in the NBA for screening talent. That's massive for Golden State's system. Those screens open up so many opportunities for Steph Curry, Buddy Hield, and the rest of the team to get those clean looks from deep. Draymond's role as a playmaker is something only a few forwards in the league can replicate. He's had the 3rd most games with 10 or more assists by a non-guard in NBA history. Just think about that. He's playing in a league that's loaded with talented guards, but he's right up there, passing like a point guard. Now defensively, Draymond has been one of the league's best rim protectors. Check this out. When opponents try to score at the rim against him, they're only making 50.5% of their attempts. To put that in perspective, he's not too far behind guys like Jaren Jackson Jr., who's at 46.9%, and Brook Lopez, who's at 50.2%. Draymond is locking down the paint and holding his ground against the best of them. And if you want proof of how intimidating he is on defense, look no further than his history against Zion Williamson. No one in the league has blocked Zion more than Draymond, who has 11 blocks against him. In their recent matchup, Draymond held Zion to the lowest field goal percentage of his career in that game, forcing him to shoot just 25%. By the way, if you guys enjoy these deep dives, I'll be posting every day during the season. I genuinely appreciate if you could subscribe. Thanks. Anyways, over one recent stretch from October 30th to November 5th, Draymond's numbers took a serious jump. He was putting up 15.3 points, 7.7 rebounds, 4.7 assists, and 2 blocks per game. Oh, and he shot a ridiculous 58.3% from 3. Draymond was draining threes at a rate no one expected. His defense also remained elite. He held his opponents to a brutal 31.4% shooting. This stretch was just an incredible display of Draymond's ability to influence the game in almost every possible way. And then there's Draymond's plus minus. Over the last decade, Draymond has a plus minus of 5,219. To put that in perspective, only his teammate, Steph Curry, has a higher plus minus over the same period, sitting at 6,186. This stat speaks volumes about his impact. Draymond's not just tagging along with Steph, he's an anchor that keeps this team in the game. But Draymond's season has its struggles too. He's averaging 3.6 fouls per game, which is well above his career average of 2.3. This increased foul count has put him on the bench in crucial moments and disrupted the Warriors' defensive rhythm. It's tough because his aggressive play style is part of what makes him great, but the fouls can sometimes hurt them. Draymond's season so far has shown why he's so confusing. On one hand, he has these stats that might not wow you, like his scoring and rebounding. But then, when you dig deeper, you see his unique value. He's setting screens, he's making plays, he's defending the rim, all these things that don't always show up in the box score, but are essential for Golden State's success. Draymond's one of those players you can't really define by just looking at the numbers. His game requires more context, more nuance. This season, he's had games where he's barely scored, but left a massive impact on the floor. He's been both a calming presence and an aggressive force for the Warriors. In the end, Draymond Green's season is confusing, but in the best way possible. You can't just look at his scoring or his fouls. You have to consider everything he does, from his screens to his defensive intensity to his playmaking. Draymond's value goes beyond numbers, and that's what makes him one of the most unique players in the NBA today. Like I mentioned though, the Warriors are 8-2. They look like a serious contender right now. And the thing is, if they make it to the playoffs, Draymond will be a huge part of their title hopes. He's been elite in his postseason career. Draymond Green has been a playoff powerhouse throughout his career, and his contributions on the court prove just how vital he is to the Warriors' success in the postseason. It's not just that he's been around for a lot of playoff games, he's been impactful, helping his team win when it matters most. Draymond's performances highlight his versatility, basketball IQ, and ability to elevate everyone around him. The numbers he's put up might not immediately stand out in the way a superstar scorers would, but they're filled with unique value that adds so much to the team's playoff runs. Across a massive 157 playoff games, Draymond has put up averages of 11.6 points, 8.9 rebounds, and 6.2 assists. These numbers tell a story of a player who does a bit of everything, scoring when needed, crashing the boards to secure critical rebounds, and setting up his teammates for success. Those assists are a big part of Draymond's game, as he's basically a playmaker who happens to play the power forward position. He might not be putting up 20 or 30 points a night, but he's consistently making his presence known on the floor. And in the playoffs, that kind of consistent contribution across the board is invaluable. Draymond's triple-doubles in the playoffs add another layer to his legacy. With 10 career playoff triple-doubles, he's one of only a handful of players in NBA history to hit that milestone. We're talking about a group that includes all-time greats like Magic Johnson, Nikola Jokic, Jason Kidd, Rajon Rondo, and Russell Westbrook. Most of these guys are guards, handling the ball all the time, which makes Draymond's accomplishment as a forward all the more impressive. It took Draymond 123 playoff games to reach that mark, which places him in the company of players known for their playmaking and versatility. Draymond might not have the ball in his hands every possession, but he still managed to make things happen in ways that guards and other primary ball handlers do. That's a testament to his skill, his understanding of the game, and his ability to adapt to whatever the Warriors need him to do. And here's where Draymond's impact gets even more interesting: his plus-minus numbers in the playoffs. Since the NBA began tracking play-by-play data back in the 1996-97 season, Draymond has the third highest postseason plus-minus of all time, coming in at an impressive plus 961. Only LeBron James, with plus 1,312, and Tim Duncan, at plus 1,095, are ahead of him. Think about that for a second. Draymond's in the top 3 for one of the most telling stats in basketball, right there, with 2 absolute legends who are known for their dominance. And for those who don't know, plus-minus is a stat that tracks how the team performs when a player is on the court versus when he's off. The higher the number, the more positive impact the player has. Draymond's plus-minus doesn't just mean he's putting up good numbers. It means the team performs better when he's out there. He's helping the Warriors win, plain and simple. In one playoff run, Draymond even led the entire postseason in cumulative plus-minus. During that stretch, the Warriors outscored their opponents by an incredible 148 points when Draymond was on the floor across 603 minutes. Now that's a stat that really shows just how much he means to his team. When Draymond's on the court, he's like a stabilizing force, organizing the defense, setting screens, grabbing boards, and making sure everyone's in the right spot. And because of him, they were outscoring their opponents by nearly 150 points during that playoff stretch. That's the power of a player who can do it all. He doesn't have to score every point or make every play. He just has to be there, and he'll find ways to make the game easier for everyone else. Beyond stats, Draymond's presence in the playoffs also comes down to his unmatched defensive skills. He's the Warriors' defensive anchor, constantly communicating, switching, and disrupting opponents' plays. It's no secret that defense is what wins games in the playoffs, and Draymond's ability to read opponents, anticipate plays, and shut down scoring threats has been a huge factor in the Warriors' success. He's often the guy taking on the toughest assignments, switching onto guards, battling with big men in the paint, and defending the rim. You can count on Draymond to make the stops that matter when the game is on the line. And when it comes to defensive stops, Draymond has been one of the Warriors' most clutch players. Draymond's playoff performances over the years have helped the Warriors not only reach, but succeed in some of the NBA's biggest moments. The numbers, the impact, the defense, and the leadership all add up to a player who's been absolutely essential to the Warriors' postseason achievements. Draymond has shown up time and time again, proving that his value goes way beyond traditional stats. When he's on the floor, they're better, and that's the mark of a true playoff star. I want to talk about some of his games, in specific from this season though. Specifically, the 3-game stretch I mentioned earlier, Draymond Green's performance against the Pelicans 2 weeks ago was nothing short of a defensive masterclass. He put on an absolute show, proving once again why he's still one of the best defenders in the league. Just look at the stat line: 14 points, 6 assists, 4 rebounds, and 5 blocks. And those 5 blocks, 4 of them came against Zion Williamson, one of the most powerful and athletic players in the league. Draymond completely shut down Zion, holding him to a career-worst shooting night at just 25%. That's 5 for 20 from the field. Zion is a beast at 284 pounds, but Draymond stood his ground, meeting him right at the rim multiple times. It's wild to think about. Draymond at 6'5", going toe-to-toe with Zion and winning those battles. He even blocked one of Zion's mid-range shots and didn't back down for a second. When Draymond's locked in like that, he can guard anybody on the floor. Steve Kerr couldn't help but praise Draymond's defense after the game. He said, "He's still one of the best defenders in the world, that's for sure." And he's right. Draymond's got this incredible ability to play physical without fouling. It's all about knowing the angles, using his long arms, and just being incredibly smart with his positioning. That final block on Brandon Ingram's three-pointer was the perfect example. Draymond closed out on Ingram from the paint all the way to the perimeter and got a piece of the shot. It's not just about size and strength with Draymond, it's his basketball IQ and timing that set him apart. Draymond's defensive versatility is unreal. He can switch across all 5 positions, guarding bigs in the post and wings on the perimeter. He's a unique rim protector at 6'5", but he can also step out and guard guards. This game against the Pelicans was a great reminder of how impactful he is, even in his 11th season. Players like Victor Wembanyama and Chet Holmgren may be grabbing the spotlight for their defense right now, but they're 7-footers and only just getting started. Draymond's been doing this for over a decade, and Draymond's not done making his case either. He made it clear that he's gunning to get back on the all-defensive first team. After seeing all the talk this summer about Wemby and Holmgren, he knows he belongs in that conversation, and he's out there proving it every night. This season, he's motivated to make sure everyone remembers just how dominant he is on that end of the floor. With Draymond anchoring the defense, the Warriors are currently ranked 2nd in defensive rating across the entire league, just behind Holmgren's Thunder. And when they're clicking like that on defense, it's tough to beat them. They've held 2 of their first 5 opponents under 90 points, including that impressive defensive stand against the Pelicans. That's what Draymond brings: intensity, IQ, and relentless effort on every possession. Draymond has always been the heart of the Warriors' defense, and with the team's renewed focus on that end of the floor, he's even more impactful. They're playing him at his natural power forward spot, surrounding him with a traditional center and wing defenders, which lets Draymond do what he does best: disrupt the opposing team's offense and lead the defense. While the offense flows through Curry, the defense is built around Draymond, who's arguably the most accomplished defender in franchise history. This game against the Pelicans wasn't just a win, it was a statement. Draymond Green is still here, and he's still one of the best defenders in the game. Watching him lock down Zion and lead the Warriors' defense to victory is just the latest reminder that Draymond's not slowing down anytime soon. And to even prove that point further, once again, the next game, he went off. Draymond Green was on fire against the Rockets, showing just how valuable he is to the Warriors on both ends of the court. With 14 points, 11 rebounds, and 3 assists, he brought that signature energy and intensity that you can feel through the screen. He was efficient too, shooting 4 of 8 from the field and even knocking down a 3-pointer. Sure, he only hit 1 out of 3 from deep, but it was a timely bucket that kept the Warriors in control. Draymond wasn't just scoring though. His presence on the boards was huge. 11 rebounds in 35 minutes. That's the kind of hustle that keeps the team going strong. And he did it with pure effort, grabbing every board he could get his hands on. It was almost like every time a shot went up, Draymond was already there, ready to fight for that rebound. Those extra possessions are what win close games, especially one that went into overtime like this one. And those assists? Draymond's playmaking was as sharp as ever. He's the type of player who doesn't need flashy assists to make an impact. His passes are smart, and they come at just the right moments. He was setting up teammates, left and right, reading the defense like a book, and moving the ball to create open shots. Even if he only had 3 assists, his passing was critical in keeping the offense flowing and setting up key scoring opportunities. But it wasn't just about stats with Draymond, it was about the grit and fire he brought to the game, especially on defense. He fouled out after 35 minutes, but every single foul came from trying to stop the Rockets from getting easy points. Draymond was everywhere, contesting shots, guarding multiple positions, and just making life tough for Houston. He has this incredible ability to read the floor, so he always seems to be one step ahead of the offense. In fact, he got 5 of his points at the free throw line, hitting 5 out of 9. Sure, it wasn't perfect, but he kept going to the line, showing he's not afraid to take contact and put the pressure on Houston's defense. Every point counted in this tight game, especially with it going into overtime. And Draymond's willingness to attack and draw fouls was a big reason why the Warriors were able to come out on top. When you watch Draymond, you see more than stats. You see a leader. He was talking, directing, and firing up his teammates all night. Draymond's energy is contagious, and you could feel it lifting the Warriors every time they needed a spark. The way he held the defense together and played with that relentless attitude, it's exactly why he's so important to this team. The Rockets had to work for every single point with him out there. And let's not forget, this game went into overtime, and Draymond was putting it all on the line up until he fouled out. His impact went beyond the minutes he played. Every rebound, every defensive play, every drive, it all added up. And when you think about how intense that game was, with the Warriors ultimately coming out on top, you know Draymond's effort was a huge part of it. Draymond's ability to impact the game in so many ways, scoring, rebounding, assisting, and anchoring the defense, makes him a unique force. Against the Rockets, he showed why he's still one of the most valuable players on the court, and then the game after that. He had arguably his best game of the season. Draymond Green was absolutely dominant against the Wizards. With 18 points, 8 rebounds, 5 assists, and 1 block, he showed just how versatile and impactful he can be on both sides of the ball. Seriously, this was one of those games where Draymond did it all, and the Warriors wouldn't have come out on top without him. First off, let's talk about his scoring. 18 points on 5 of 7 shooting from the field, that's efficiency at its finest. He wasn't just scoring the easy ones either, he was hitting from beyond the arc as well. Draymond knocked down 3 of 4 from 3-point range. You heard that right? Draymond Green was hitting 3-pointers like he was a shooter in his prime. That deep shot he nailed was just the kind of thing that takes the defense by surprise. They have to respect his range, which opens up so many opportunities for everyone else on the floor. Draymond is showing that he can do more than just the dirty work. He can step up and make big shots when the team needs it most, but that's just part of the story. Draymond also grabbed 8 rebounds in this game. 8. That's big time production on the boards. He wasn't just waiting for the ball to come to him, he was crashing the glass and fighting for every rebound. His ability to grab boards from both ends of the floor helps the Warriors get extra possessions and deny the Wizards second chance opportunities. That's the kind of hustle that makes all the difference in close games. His rebound totals are so important, especially when you're talking about a guy who's only 6'5", but don't let his size fool you. Draymond uses his strength, positioning, and basketball IQ to get the job done. Then there's his playmaking. 5 assists from Draymond, you love to see it. He's always been a guy who makes the right pass at the right time, and he did just that against the Wizards. Whether it was hitting a cutting teammate or making an open look, Draymond's ability to facilitate the offense was key to the Warriors' win. His basketball IQ is off the charts. He's always looking for the next play, always thinking ahead. It's not just about scoring for Draymond, he understands the game on a deep level, and that helps elevate his teammates. And let's not forget his defense. Draymond had 1 block, but it wasn't just about the stats. He was there on every possession, providing rim protection and guarding multiple positions with ease. He's got this uncanny ability to read the floor and anticipate the play before it happens. That block was a nice reminder that he's still a force on the defensive end of the floor, but his impact goes beyond just the flashy plays. He knows how to be in the right place at the right time, and that's what makes him such an elite defender. In a game like this, it's easy to see why Draymond is so crucial to the Warriors' success. He does the little things that don't always show up in the box score, and he does them consistently. His energy, leadership, and all-around game were exactly what the Warriors needed to get the win. Whether it was scoring, passing, rebounding, or defending, Draymond Green was everywhere. It wasn't just a solid performance. It was a masterclass in what makes him one of the most complete players in the league. I think something that gets overlooked though, just the simple chemistry between Draymond Green and Steph Curry. When you think of the Golden State Warriors, the first 2 names that come to mind are Steph Curry and Draymond Green. These two have been the backbone of the Warriors dynasty for years, and their chemistry is something special. They've been playing together for a long time, longer than almost any other duo in the entire NBA, and that chemistry, it's absolutely crucial to the Warriors' success. First off, let's talk about how long these two have been together. Steph Curry and Draymond Green are the longest tenured duo in the NBA with their team. Curry, of course, is the face of the franchise. He changed the game with his shooting ability, but it's Draymond's leadership and defense that makes this partnership complete. They've played over 790 games together, making them the most experienced pairing in the NBA in terms of time spent on the floor. That kind of history is unmatched. And when you have that kind of bond, you can really start to see how it translates to the court. They understand each other's movements, tendencies, and strengths so well. But it's not just about time spent together. The way they work off each other is incredible. Last season, Draymond became the 8th player in the play-by-play era since the 1996 to 97 season to assist a single teammate over 1,000 times. That's right, over 1,000 assists to Steph Curry. That's a crazy number when you look at the list of other players who've done that. Guys like John Stockton to Karl Malone, Tony Parker to Tim Duncan, and Chris Paul to Blake Griffin. Draymond and Curry are right there with the best of them. And that's no accident. Draymond Green is such an intelligent player, and when it comes to passing the ball, he's been on another level with Curry. The way they communicate without words is something only the best duos have. Curry, known for his insane shooting range, can stretch the floor and create all kinds of opportunities. Draymond, meanwhile, is a master at reading the defense. He's always looking for ways to get Curry an open look, whether it's with a quick pick and roll or a well-timed assist. It's almost like they've got a telepathic connection. Draymond knows exactly where Curry is going to be and when to give him the ball. Curry, on the other hand, knows how to use Draymond's passes to create even more space for his shots. Speaking of those passes, let's not forget that Draymond's game is so much more than just assists. He's a playmaker, a leader, and an elite defender. When Curry's launching threes, Draymond is locking down the opposing team's best player or grabbing key rebounds. The Warriors have found that perfect balance between offense and defense, with these two leading the charge. If Curry is the heartbeat of the offense, Draymond is the anchor on the other end of the floor. This duo thrives because of their ability to complement each other's game in every possible way. Now, let's take a look at their rings. Both Curry and Green have 4 championships each, and that speaks volumes about the kind of impact they've had on this franchise. That championship pedigree is huge. Not every duo in the NBA can say they've won multiple rings together, let alone 4. Curry is one of the best players in NBA history, and Draymond is the kind of guy who makes everything around him better. The Warriors dynasty was built on the incredible teamwork between Curry, Green, and Klay Thompson, but it all starts with Curry and Draymond's chemistry. Their rings are a testament to how much they've been able to rely on each other in big moments, from clutch shots to defensive stops. It's not just about individual stats either. When you watch these two play, you can see that their connection on the floor is so much bigger than just the numbers. The Warriors' offensive system revolves around Curry's shooting, but Draymond's ability to facilitate and set up plays has been just as important. He's the one who gets everything flowing smoothly, creating open shots for Curry, Buddy, and others. When Draymond is on his game, the whole team is in sync, and that's when they're at their best. And then there's the fact that these two have been through everything together. They've faced ups and downs, but their bond has remained unshakable. From the highs of winning championships to the lows of injuries and setbacks, Draymond and Curry have weathered every storm. That's why their chemistry is so strong. They've been through it all, and they know how to support each other when things get tough. It's that trust that makes this duo so effective, and it's why they've been able to sustain success for so long. It's also amazing to think about the future of this partnership. Draymond and Curry aren't just past legends, they're still playing at an incredibly high level. Even as the NBA evolves and new superstars rise, this duo remains one of the most dangerous in the league. Curry is still shooting lights out, and Draymond is still providing that defensive intensity and playmaking that the Warriors need. As long as they're together, the Warriors will always have a shot at competing for championships. In the end, the chemistry between Curry and Draymond Green is one of the most special relationships in NBA history. Their time together, their understanding of each other's games, and their shared success have made them the most dangerous duo in the league. They've already cemented their place in NBA history, but the best part is, they're not done yet. Really though, I think Draymond Green just does what he's supposed to. Draymond Green has some of the most bizarre and mind-blowing stats in NBA history. And I'm not just talking about your typical numbers like points or rebounds. No, Draymond's stat line often defies the typical box score and leaves fans, analysts, and even players scratching their heads. He's the kind of player who can show up on the stat sheet in ways that nobody else ever has, making him one of the most unique players the league has ever seen. Let's start with one of the weirdest achievements in NBA history. Draymond Green became the first player in NBA history to record a double-double without even attempting a single shot. You heard that right, a double-double without taking a shot. In that game, Draymond finished with 12 rebounds and 10 assists. The dude didn't need to score to make an impact. He was doing it all with his defense, his passing, and his energy. You just don't see that happen in the NBA, and Draymond Green found a way to make it happen. He proved you can contribute in all the right areas without even having to put the ball in the basket. A game with 4 points, 11 rebounds, 10 assists, 10 steals, and 5 blocks. That's a quadruple threat stat line. This guy was everywhere. He scored 4 points, but his impact was felt all over the floor. 11 rebounds? Check. 10 assists? Of course. 10 steals? Absolutely. And then 5 blocks on top of it all. This kind of stat line isn't something you see every day. In fact, it's one of the rarest in NBA history. Draymond was the ultimate all-around player in that game. He didn't just fill up one stat column, he filled up every single one. How many players in NBA history can say they've done that? Not many, if any at all. Draymond also made history with his triple-double without even reaching double digits in points. He became the first player to ever do that. Usually, when you think of a triple-double, it's the big-time scorers who are pulling it off. Your LeBron James, your Russell Westbrook, your Magic Johnson. But Draymond, he was out here putting up triple-doubles in his own unique way by doing everything else at an elite level and not even needing to score in double digits. That's what makes him such a special player. He impacts the game in so many ways without always needing to light up the scoreboard. But let's not forget Draymond's defense. We all know he's one of the best defenders in the league. His ability to defend multiple positions, play physical, and still get steals, it's a rare gift, and he's mastered it. He's been doing the dirty work for the Warriors year after year, and it shows in his career numbers. He's the perfect blend of toughness and intelligence when it comes to defense. He reads plays, makes the right rotations, and when he's on the floor, you just feel the defense tighten up. Speaking of defense, Draymond is also one of the best shot blockers in NBA history, especially when it comes to defending three-point attempts. Since the NBA started tracking blocks on three-pointers back in 1966, Draymond Green is second on the all-time list with 112 blocks, just behind Kevin Durant. That's right, Draymond Green has more blocks on three-point attempts than players like Anthony Davis, James Johnson, and even the legendary Dwight Howard. For a guy who isn't a traditional shot blocker, this stat is absolutely nuts. Draymond's ability to challenge shots on the perimeter has been a game changer for the Warriors, and it shows up in these crazy numbers. Now let's talk about Draymond's impact on the floor in terms of efficiency. When it comes to games with a plus-minus of plus 40 or better, Draymond has made the list 4 times. That's tied for 4th most since the 1996-97 season. He's right there with players like Kobe Bryant, Kevin Durant, and DeAndre Jordan. In those games, he's been a difference maker to the point where his impact has been felt in the most extreme way possible. A plus 40+ point differential is insane, and Draymond has done it 4 times, proving that when he's on the floor, his team is in great hands. What makes all of these stats even crazier is that Draymond Green isn't the guy you think of as a traditional superstar. He's not putting up 30 points a game, and he's not even always the guy taking the last shot, but he does everything else. Defends, passes, rebounds, and plays with the kind of energy that affects every aspect of the game. Draymond Green is the ultimate glue guy, and he's got the stats to prove it. His contributions may not always show up in the typical box score, but the Warriors would not be the same without him. So, when you look at Draymond Green, you're looking at one of the weirdest and most unique stat lines in NBA history. Draymond's career is filled with stats that don't make sense. But you know what? That's what makes him so valuable to his team. He's a player who can do it all, and in some of the most unexpected ways. Overall, though, Draymond has been absolutely locked in on both ends of the floor, contributing in ways that make the Warriors' offense and defense work seamlessly. His chemistry with Steph Curry is as strong as ever. These two have been running the show for years, and their connection continues to create opportunities for the Warriors. Draymond's defense and playmaking abilities allow Curry to focus on scoring, and together, they're a nightmare for opposing teams. But it's not just them. Buddy Hield has been playing at an elite level too. With his scoring ability and shooting touch, he's adding another dynamic to the Warriors' offense, making them even more dangerous. When you've got guys like Curry, Green, and Hield all performing at their peak, you're looking at a team that's built for a deep playoff run. Their chemistry experience, and individual talents are all lining up perfectly. If they keep playing like this, there's no reason they can't make a serious push for the championship. The Warriors are firing on all cylinders, and it's exciting to think about just how far they can go this season. If you guys enjoyed this, I'll be posting every day during this season. I genuinely appreciate if you could subscribe. Thanks for watching.